very kind. Thank you very much. And, Carl Schmitt, who is, if you don't search his name on Google, it's even worse than mine. Carl Schmitt said, "Show me your enemies and I'll show you who you are." And that is a great cornucopia of some of the worst people in this nation. Eric Swalwell, by the way, should be held in contempt. He facilitated a felony by Hunter's gimmick on December 13th. He was the one who reserved a spot outside of the U.S. Capitol for Hunter to go in front of the sticks and lie almost every single sentence. So Eric Swalwell, he's the felon, not me. But, what really got me into the Biden laptop was I don't have very many gifts. I'm not that great at math. I'm terrible. I can't build anything to save my ass. But one true gift I have is I stick on things like a dog on a bone, and I do not let up. And after Joey osteoporotically limped across the finish line, and I concede he got 81 million votes, but they weren't all legit. Once he got over that finish line, I could not forget about it. I could not move on. I could not just accept that this puppet, that this political whore who had been in office for 55 years, literally 55 years, that's almost 3 lifetimes of I was going to say me, but that's 2. But that was funny. I was going to say at the time I started digging into him, it was almost 3. But I just got obsessed with what was in this laptop. And the reason why we call our dossier here the report on the Biden laptop as opposed to the Hunter Biden laptop is because it's all about Joe. One of the things the Washington Compost hit piece got wrong is that I truly don't care about Hunter all that much, right? Hunter is important because of who his daddy is. And I wanted to know how somebody over a period of 5 decades assembles this sheer infrastructure and number of cronies and patronage people and everything else, that the hangers-on, right, that are attached to Joe for their largesse, for their prestige, for their jobs, how somebody does that. And what we have in this abandoned device is a couple of things. Number one, we've never, in 250 years, in 2026, in 250 years, we have never had this much primary source material on a sitting first family, ever. It's never been. It takes usually about 30 years and the guy to die for the presidential libraries to be opened to such a degree that you're able to see what they were actually like, right? So LBJ, people always ask me, do you think Joe is the most corrupt president? And I said, no. LBJ was Hunter and Joe combined, right? LBJ credibly killed his own sister, Josepha. And everybody asked me, is Hunter the worst in American history? Go read about Josepha Johnson, LBJ's younger sister, and just insane stuff, like brothels in D.C. It's out of this world. So what got me onto this is we have it right now, while the guy is in office, right? And the reason why it's so relevant is because this laptop exposes at a granular level, we have the complete comms of how the sausage was made in D.C., right? We're not naive. We understand that there's other people like Joey right now on K Street being political whores. But what is fascinating is that we are able to pull the curtain back, right, and see at a granular level how it's done. Hunter, we're led to believe, was the chairman of the World Food Program USA. Can you believe that? Just knowing how he really is versus his puff positions, there's such a chasm between the attractiveness of his puff position titles and his intelligence. But he was the chairman of the World Food Program USA. And for the entirety of that chairmanship, he's violating federal lobbying laws, right? Normal folks, people who don't have daddies named Joe Biden, they get pinched for that kind of stuff all the time. They'll get indicted. They'll get an ethics complaint. They'll have to pay back fees. None of that's happened to Hunter. And so the context is, like you said, I'm getting out of the White House. I start going through the device. I'm a total nerd. So instead of everybody else looking at the porn stuff, I'm going through all the emails, 128,000 of them. We put them all online for free, BidenLaptopEmails.com. That's one of the reasons why they're suing us. But I started going through it and started making a link analysis, right? One thing I hate is people complain about the state of the country, but they're not interested in the particular who, right? I'm obsessed with the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why. And if you don't know the who, if you don't know who the hell is instituting this stuff, your opportunities for redressing that grievance go way down. So you have to have specificity, and that's what this laptop provides. It's really a window into the people pushing for global governance and the deracination of our country. And so while we were writing this report, and while we sort of did it like a reverse book deal. You know, with the big publishing houses, Simon & Schuster, HarperCollins, they'll pay you on the front end. Well, I had a little bit of a nest egg after the White House, and I just basically took the entirety of 21, the entirety of 22. We released it on October 19th, 2022. But while we were doing that, while we were going through every email, going through every picture, logging every single statute and regulatory violation. Think about this. The number is 459. There's evidence, there's incontrovertible audio, visual, text evidence for 459 violations of state and federal laws and regs. We've had a donor has offered a $1,000 bounty since December of 2022 for one shitlib to find one material error. One of them. Send this to every crappy reporter in Washington. They can't find one. The reason why I go into that, and it's not being cocky. It's to say we did this soberly. We knew at the start of 2021 when we were going through the device. And again, all the emails are online right now. Our small C3 did this. All the photos are online. That's why Hunter's suing us, and not the New York Post, not the Daily Mail. They're suing a C3 with a budget less than $200,000, which is pathetic, right? And we'll get to Abby Law in a little bit, and I know we're getting late, but finally the sun is giving some respite to you all. But there's so much to go into through all this. Every we called every single business partner of Hunter's, asking them for comment. Every single hooker, every single drug dealer. The areas of knowledge that I've acquired in this are insane. Last fall, I get an email from you won't believe this, but a non-leftist liberal sociology professor at the University of Chicago had stumbled upon our email database and our report. And she said, "I've got to meet you. I see that you're in Illinois. Can we meet up?" And one of the PIs on our board, I thought I was being catfished, right? So I told one of the PIs on our board, just go look at her CV, make sure she's not a shitlib, like messing with me, right? She's going to get me in there, a meeting with her, and then do like a James O'Keefe punk thing. But no, sure shit, she's just a non-leftist liberal and is obsessed with our report, in part because in 2015 she wrote a book about sex trafficking and sex work in Vietnam and the use of Venmo and PayPal and all these other peer-to-peer payment networks to pay prostitutes and pimps. And for 80 pages in this dossier, that's what I go into. We're such nerds that we know the API of Venmo, right? So what we do is we went through all 100 emails, got the email and Venmo accounts of all the pimps, and then just scraped all their names, and we started creating analyses. All this, by the way, has been sent to HSI. The Department of Homeland Security is completely comp. I'm not saying every soul is damned to hell, right? But I'm saying like 95% of them are just cowards. They just care about their pension. So, like, the analysis you have to make when deciding whether to report evidence of criminal activity is whether or not that Fed or that state-level employee loves the law and the country more than they love their pension. If that equation is off, they ain't going to do anything, right? So, and that's why we put it in a report, because even if they take our websites down, which is one of Hunter's prayers for relief in the Central District of California, Joey cannot have his people go burn every one of these books, right? We've distributed over 13,000. Complete grassroots effort. Everybody who helped me with this, and I'm just the public face of it. There's a dozen guys with me. I'm the youngest by 13 years. Everybody who's helped me with this, I met post soft coup, post Joey getting installed, because we all came together and realized this was a joke. One of my only goals is to be able to tell my children in like 40 years that I was wise to what's going on, right? I mean, look at this guy. Have you seen his gait? Joey. Like, he literally can't even, if he walked up here tonight and gave a speech, he wouldn't know where the exit is. He's totally gone. So I want them to know that we knew what the hell was going on and that we knew how he got there. right? Because I think in the goal with the dossier in this report, which is free to read online, bidenreport.com. You can go look it up. It's a nice e-reader. You can keyword search, everything else. The goal is to put something into the historical record that only gets truer with time. That's very, very hard. But we're trying to put together a first draft of history that, through access to primary source materials, is more accurate and more complete and more thorough than what people typically are able to do with a first draft of history, right? So the group that and I'm not going in order, but I'm going off of the intro that Jason offered. But the group that we organized to do this is called Marco Polo, and we did it for a couple of reasons. Number one, the content, as Jason was saying, is such a third rail. Not just the business deals. We're talking the orgies, the crack cocaine, the doing crack cocaine off females' bodies. All of these things are such third rail in American society that no established nonprofit was going to touch it. They wouldn't do it because they're too litigation averse, right? Joey's feds have not charged me with anything criminally. They tore down James O'Keefe's door because he revealed the diary. Remember, Joey's 39-year-old drug-addled daughter said she took probably not appropriate showers with Joey. It's completely confirmed. We have that on our website, bidendiary.com. And you can go read it. All we did was transcribe it. National File released it. But what I'm trying to get across is anybody who touches this material, it's such a kryptonite thing that they'll just sue you into oblivion. So right now, we are getting sued, we got sued in April of 23 by Hunter's sugar brother, a guy who looks dangerously close to the Geico caveman. The problem is, this Geico caveman has $115 million, and he's the lawyer for the South Park creators, absolute scumbag. But he has funded Hunter's lifestyle to the tune of $7.5 million. And what did he get? Well, we were the first group in the world to find this out. Hunter gave Kevin Morris the 10% share in the Chinese private equity fund. There's no such thing as a private equity fund in China, right? Chinaman doesn't believe in private equity. It's all public equity. And so Kevin got a 10% stake in BHR, Bohai Harvest Rosemont, which is backed by the State Bank of China, literally called the Bank of China. And that was appraised by a liberal professor by the name of Stephen Kaplan at UChicago. Ironic that he's at UChicago. That's what I told, by the way, the professor of sociology. I said, I'll talk to you, but you got to introduce me to this Kaplan guy. Because politically, he wouldn't touch me, right? But Kaplan, in 2019, appraised this 10% share anywhere from 14 to 20 mil. So, Hunter can't cash out now because that would be politically unpalatable for Daddy and him, right? So what does he do? He gives the 10% to Kevin. Kevin holds it, gives him $7.5 in liquid cash to pay the mother. By the way, I was the witness in the child support case for the mother of Hunter Biden's child in Arkansas. That's what got them really pissed, right? It wasn't the photo database and the email database. I was getting involved in Hunter's domestic affairs, and that just drove him up a wall. She is not a sociopath. Actually, a very kind girl. Her parents are conservative. Her dad hunts with Don Jr. I know it's a weird story. But anyways, she's not a sociopath and decided to settle. But going into that, through that litigation and other means and having a whistleblower within BHR, we found out what Kevin is getting, right? So all this news right now with the Congress and Kevin Morris going in for an interview, we know what the quid pro Joe is. I love how that Latin phrase fixes with his name. I love that so much. Remember, you're not getting $1 billion. How perfect is it that his name's Joe? We have it within the phrase quid pro Joe. So we know the quid pro Joe occurred with firing Shokin and withholding the $1 billion loan guarantee from the IMF, right? He even said, son of a bitch, he got fired. We know the quid pro Joe that's occurring right now with Hunter and Kevin Morris. So you have the President of the United States, his son gave a 10% stake in a state-funded Chinese equity fund to the guy funding his lifestyle. Very few issues at a national level more important than that, right? Because we literally cannot guarantee that the head honcho, the guy who directs the military, in a way, I know he's pumped full of stuff and goes to bed at 9 and gets wife, but still. We know that he doesn't have our best interest at heart. We know that. And we know that because of the financial entanglements. right? So that matters to us. So I can't get over the fact that he stole the election. And they stole it through many means, right? I don't even get... My boss published this great 3-part report. I go back to the very simple fact of the matter that the Constitution requires the state legislators to dictate the time, place, and manner of the elections, right? And they didn't do that. All the branch Covidians didn't do that. That was a play on words, by the way. I love that. I came up with that. Along with Fauci and Bargain, I came up with that in February 2020. Didn't get my copyright. Somebody wrote a book called Fauci and Bargain. Maybe I'll pay off my house with that. I demand remuneration. But what we're doing with Marco Polo, apart with publishing this report, putting all the photos on it, and it's very simple why we're doing this. We are exposing compromise. These people are totally compromised. Even if Joey wanted to do the right thing. I don't know how many of you showed cattle. I did very poorly and very begrudgingly. But it's like having somebody on a bit, right? Once you have them on a halter, and they have Joey on a halter right now. And the people directing that halter, or if you want to use a horse analogy, they have them on a bit. And the CFR is pulling the strings, and all these globalist organizations. And that's what the dossier is about. That's what Marco Polo is about. We don't believe that you can have compromised people in positions of power and have good government. Because even if they wanted to do the right thing, if there is a decision between doing the right thing and doing the scummy swamp thing, if they are in any way compromised and somebody has something over them, it doesn't always have to be salacious, right? When you hear the word compromise or blackmail, you think of, Hunter, naked pics or something. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be financial compromise. It can be familial compromise. It can be all these different things. And that's what we're doing. We're taking the skills and resources and methods of private investigative work, because that's who I work with every day is PIs. I might even do the test in Tennessee just because they don't have a residency requirement. I find the work totally engrossing. But we're taking those skills and methods of private investigative work to opposition research. Not for any one candidate. We've never worked for a particular candidate. We can't, because we're a C3. And unlike Mark Elias, we follow the freaking law. They don't, because the people who enforce the law don't care that they don't follow the law. But what our vision is, and this is a lofty vision, is to the degree possible, make sure that people going forward after Joey, we at least know what their compromise is. Because we can't get Joey out of office unless he croaks until November. So if that is the status quo, the least we can do is know who is pulling the strings and know how he is compromised, right? And for that task, we've been sued for $60 million in state court and an amount to be determined later in federal court. And we spent more on lawyers in 2023 than our entire budget for 2022. They are expecting people to be terrified of them, right? That because you'll get sued. And they'll write all these letters, and Nevin here is my new friend. Ever since last fall, we got canceled at Fifth Third Bank for doing nothing. We had like $1,100 in the account. We just kept it for wire transfers from donors. And they just canceled us one day. Just got an email. And that is a very small example of what's happening across the country. And so along with just telling you what we've all done and urge you all to read the report and get educated about what the First Family is about. Remember, decency is on the ballot according to Jill. What does that mean? Foot jobs and bribery. Okay? That's what Jill wants for the nation. Beyond just teaching, I have to have some levity, okay? This is dark stuff. But beyond just telling you all about what Marco Polo does, I urge you all to use the methods of private investigative work for your local candidates. There's people who write us all the time about searching for their local candidate's name on the email database. There was this candidate who I didn't know from Adam, pun intended, because his name is Adam Laxalt. He ran for the Senate in Nevada in 22, and he was using our site on his ads. And I had no idea, but it turns out his opponent, Masto, she's chummy with Hunter. And there were like 100 emails going back and forth about Hunter was going to get Masto's husband some security contracts, right? So it's really a voter intelligence tool The Biden laptop, we call it the new Rosetta Stone, right? The Rosetta Stone allowed people to understand vanished languages, dead languages. The emails, because there's 128,000 of them, and because it's so varied, from email notifications from drug deals and pimps and business deals, there's so much on it that whenever I go, this is my 15th talk, whenever I go to someplace, I always try to find a local connection. One of Hunter's main financial backers is from Edwardsville, Illinois, Jeff Cooper. I know I really tried hard to find something Quincy related. There just wasn't. Which is rare. But that's good. Yeah. But it's, again, my favorite writer said it best. America, his name is Tom Wolfe. He died in May of 2018. R.I.P. But he really tried to capture the whole panorama of American life. And that's really what the laptop is, right? Because you have so many people in there, so much of the high brass Democratic power on the inside and on the outside, right? Like, think of the people who've really screwed America over in the last 15 years. From Chris Dodd, remember the Dodd-Frank law in Connecticut? That was Joey's best friend. Now Chris Dodd is the guy, the head of the snake in the Chi-Com infiltration of Hollywood, right? Like, pick your dozen top issues of American rot, and Joey and his friends are there. From the Carlyle Group and big private equity, big leftist ESG crap, Joey's connected to all of them. So again, I urge you all to get involved at a granular level in research. I think the world is more complex than it ever has been, but it also presents more opportunities where nothing is stopping you. Everybody with an internet connection and a curious mind can do what the folks at Marco Polo have done. Everybody can. And it really is a matter of will. Because if you're blind, if you're in the dark about where these people come from and their social and business connections, you have nobody to blame but yourself if you're not going to take the time to look into these matters. So again, I really appreciate Jason asking me to come and giving me the opportunity. I'm going to all 50 states. I've been to 12. I'm going to do a northeastern swing, a northwestern swing, and I'll be in all 50 states by the election before hopefully Trump wins again. That was in my personal capacity, by the way. But I've stayed on this like a dog in a bone because I think that when we're all worm food, they'll be able to go through the stuff we've written in our report and say, yeah, this is really how Joey was compromised. This was the mechanics of it. And it's really just insane. I brought a box of reports. If you want to get one, and I'll sign it for you and make it out to you. And again, please look at our stuff. Our site's marcopolo501c3.org. Our email database, which I encourage all of you, search your state rep's name, search your state senator's name. We can't make it easier. BidenLaptopEmails.com. All of the photos, which unfortunately are much more popular than the email site, it shows you what people are interested in. We still get 20,000 unique visitors a day to our photo site. BidenLaptopMedia.com. It has all the photos from the device with the genitalia redacted. Final thing, and a point of personal privilege because it's hilarious and pathetic. A partner at Winston Strawn got paid $1,300 an hour to write a lawsuit against us. And one of their 3 causes of action, remember, they've been scraping the bottom of the barrel against me for 18 months, and they have 3 causes of action. It's pathetic. One of them is a state-level law in California that said I tampered with data. You know what their claim is? I covered their client's genitals. We redacted Hunter and the Biden family's genitals in our report, meaning we put either his cracked teeth or a black square over the genitals, right? And remember, the first family has multiple naked photos of multiple members of their family on their device. It's not normal. Normal people don't do that. But we covered the genitals, and they're saying we tampered with data from their clients. So by that logic, Abby Lowell at Winston Strawn, a total rodent ignoramus, the guy who defended Slick Willie with Monica Lewinsky in the 90s. That's the kind of scumbags we're dealing with. That guy said that we should have put his client's genitals on our website by that logic. So, thank you very much.